Cinderella. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful girl named Cinderella who lived with her two stepsisters and stepmother. Cinderella's stepmother was extremely jealous of her beauty and made her do the hardest and most dreadful work in the house. Cinderella did the dishes, scrubbed the floor, and made the bed, while her stepsisters rested on fancy beds. Now, it so happened that the prince decided to give a ball, inviting all the young ladies to attend. Cinderella's stepmother and stepsisters were delighted. They sent for the greatest designers in the kingdom to ensure that they looked their best. Cinderella offered to help them get ready for the ball. She always gave them the best advice. As she helped them, the eldest sister asked, "Cinderella, are you not going to the ball?" Cinderella sadly lowered her head and said, "No, you're only teasing me because I have nothing to wear. Perhaps I could borrow something?" "Lend our clothes to such a dirty cinder wench. We're not fools," they exclaimed. When the big day finally came, Cinderella accompanied her stepmother and stepsisters to the court and couldn't help but burst into tears as she watched them enter the ball. As she wept, Cinderella's fairy godmother appeared. "Cinderella, why are you crying? You wish to attend the ball, is that not so?" she asked. "Yes," cried Cinderella. The fairy godmother smiled and said, "Well, run into the garden and bring me a pumpkin." Cinderella immediately went to get the pumpkin. When she brought it, her godmother struck the pumpkin with her wand, instantly turning it into a coach. Next, she had Cinderella find some mice, and the godmother tapped them with her wand, turning them into 6 horses and a coachman. "Do you still think you're not able to attend the ball?" asked her godmother. "Yes, but should I go in these rags?" cried Cinderella. Godmother only touched her, and her rags turned into a white dress. To top it off, the godmother gave Cinderella a pair of glass slippers. "The spell only lasts until midnight, so promise you'll leave the ball before then," warned the godmother. Cinderella promised to return before midnight, thanked her again, and drove off to the ball. When Cinderella made her entrance, the dancing and the music stopped, as everyone turned to gaze at her beauty. No one recognized her. She was a complete mystery. The prince rushed up to greet her, led her to the most honorable seat by his side, and later took her out for a dance. Cinderella even made time to approach her stepsisters, who didn't recognize her. Cinderella was enjoying herself so much that she completely forgot the time. When the clock struck midnight, Cinderella was shocked and fled immediately, leaving one of her glass slippers behind in her haste. The prince ran to follow her, but only managed to pick up the glass slipper. Cinderella managed to get home before her two stepsisters stumbled into her room. "You stayed really late," cried Cinderella. "If you had been there, you would have seen the most beautiful princess," exclaimed the eldest sister. "She was so nice to us and had the undivided attention of the prince." "The prince would give anything to know who she was," said the youngest. A few days later, the prince declared that he would marry the woman whose foot fit in the slipper. His soldiers began to try the slipper on all the princesses and duchesses in the court, but it was all in vain. Days later, it was brought to the two sisters, who tried with all their might to make the slipper fit. Cinderella, who saw this, politely asked to try it. When Cinderella's foot slid perfectly into the slipper, her sisters were astonished. Suddenly, the fairy appeared and waved her magic wand. In a flash, Cinderella appeared in a splendid dress, shining with youth and beauty. Cinderella was escorted to the prince, dressed as beautiful as she was at the ball. So a few days later, Cinderella married the prince. The end.